Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on September 8th, 2023 at approximately 4:28 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Okay, now I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I use myself in my own day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the ones that I personally use to guide my own life on a day-to-day level. Now, with all this in mind, what this means is that what I'm talking about are things that have been tested not only by myself, but by literally thousands of others with varying levels of success depending on individual efforts. Okay, now I've done a little bit of reworking here, and Fridays we are going to cover the paranormal. But to start with, today we're going to talk about the nature. We're going to start with talking about the nature of paranormal phenomenon. However, this said, if you've got a question, even if it's not in that topic, absolutely put it in the chat room, preferably in all caps, or at least some way of, a chunk of caps, or at least the wavy hand to get my attention. Understand, all caps is not a way of yelling. It is a way of getting my attention. Now, with this in mind, we have football in with the gold. Football cat, you've got the gold. Adam Lakatos is in with the silver. And Adam, you're on your way to Saskatoon. Do make certain that you remain really diligent. From what I gather, the drivers out there are getting absolutely bizarre. We have Chad Smith in here with the Chad Smith podcast that has the bronze. And then we have Emmy Tonga in with honorable mention. In addition to that, let's see, Joe Stewart, how you doing? Glad you could join us. So where do we begin? Well, we begin in the middle because, much as beginning at the very beginning is a very nice place to start. It's not very practical given how far back my beginning is. Yes, I've got my water. I've got my coffee. I'm good. Oh, I did not do that. Shock of shocks. This door does not require being open. This gives you an idea. I came through the door literally minutes before I had to be on it, before I had decided I was to be on air. Okay. Now, with that in mind, what do we got going on here? The nature of paranormal phenomenon. Understand, anything that does not fit inside what you're aware of as normal is, by definition, paranormal. Okay, now this applies to astrology, tarot, psychic readings, accelerated healing, UFOs, alien races, ancient races, true magic, okay, alien technology, or for that matter, advanced technologies. These are all things, and of course, let us not forget ghosts, spirits, demons, that sort of thing. Okay, these are all different categories in which we can chalk up paranormal activity. Now, as some of you are already aware, for me, what you call paranormal, I call day-to-day life. Okay, now when I talk about accelerated healing, understand back in 2007, not only was I almost fully colorblind, at this distance, I couldn't physically see my eyes. I see my glasses. Okay, now I've got mostly full color vision. Okay, and 2020 eyesight where it comes to reading. Needless to say, I'm a whole lot happier about that. Okay, but I'm going to use a term I've used multiple times over the centuries. Now, do understand, past lives are another para abnormality, if you will, or paranormality. Okay, my past life memories date back over way over 5 billion years. I remember being here when Earth first came together, when it was first constructed. Now, that being said, it did evolve of its own accord afterwards, but the core was built. Okay. Very much the same idea, although not the same mechanic, as a child, is originally constructed by a male and a female counterpart in the corporeal world. Okay, in most of the corporeal world. Okay, so we are talking about things that are evolving, things that are changing. Now we have a choice. As a society, as mutual peoples on this same planet, okay, we have a choice. We can continue focusing on the negative side. Okay, we can continue looking at what has gone wrong, what could go wrong, and you can focus on that if you'd like. Myself, I'm done focusing on that. Okay, but the paranormal has a place in the normal world. Understand, when we start looking at the higher senses, telepathy, precognition, okay, precognition also known as knowing before, okay, or more to the point, before knowing, okay, any of the higher senses, okay, when we start looking at that, all of these things are extremely necessary, okay, and they are all used together, they balance things. Now, when children are born, if we're talking this lifetime, I fought depression most of my life. Oh, Football Cat is just asking, did you ever have a negative mindset? Okay. Was I ever suicidal? No, although I cut it close out of curiosity. But I fought depression most of my life. Okay, and still have my run-ins with it on occasion. In all fairness, a year ago, I almost pulled the plug on doing these live streams at all, because I was looking at it going, I'm doing what I can and the world is still in a downhill slide. But it was literally because of the support that I got through you guys here in this chat room that I decided ultimately not to shut down the stream. Okay. But have I had negative thoughts? Certainly. I've never been suicidal. Okay. The closest I ever came to suicide, to thinking suicidally, I would have been about 14 years old, going across I was on the ferry, going between, I can't remember if I was going from Vancouver or from Vancouver to the island or vice versa. But I do remember that the week before, roughly, somebody had thrown their newborn child overboard off the ferry. And on this particular night, I'm standing out on the deck, starless sky, right? It was completely clouded over. So we're out on the deck. We're in the middle of the Straits of Georgia. And I'm thinking, I'm a pretty decent swimmer. No, I'd probably been about 10 years old, but I figured I'm a pretty decent swimmer. So, with that in mind, I'm going, I wonder what it would be like if I fell off the ferry, in the middle of the black. Assuming I didn't get pulled under the ferry, right? I'm going like, I wonder what it would be like to fall off the ferry into the water this far away. I mean, I'm a pretty good swimmer. We're about a mile out, maybe a little more, I don't know. But I figure I should be able to take my time and get home. I wonder what it would be like. So I turned around. I actually got up on the inside of the railing. And my whole issue was I really didn't feel that I had anything to offer the world. Okay, by the way, how you doing, Donna? Glad you could join us. I hope your day's been going well. So I turned around and I got up on the rail. And then as I'm just starting to lift my leg up to put it over, I went, maybe not a good idea. So I turned around and went back inside before I did something completely stupid. But I wasn't actually depressed. I was simply curious. And, I decided not to test that curiosity. But that's the closest I've ever come to suicide. Okay. I do remember one fleeting thought about, where is it? Right there. I remember one fleeting thought when I was somewhere in my mid-20s. I was looking at this thing, and it was rather on the sharp side. And I figured, all it would take is one real quick maneuver. Okay. And that would solve my problem. But that was a very fleeting little issue. And again, it was sort of a case of, okay, thought about it, not a good move, so let's not go there. Haven't had that kind of a thought since. This does not mean I haven't had some pretty, shall we say, colorful interpretations, but, what the heck. So, have I had a negative thought? Certainly. But the nature of paranormality is it falls outside of the common run. Now, I'm just scanning down here, and Donna's gone. I think all of us have had negative thoughts at some point in life, and we have to push past it to be a better person. Absolutely, Donna. There is no question there at all. Oh, and before I forget about it, all of the hard copies I've got addresses for now are in the mail. I think I'm missing a few because I'll tell you. Here's my one box. Okay, this is where I keep all the addresses. I pulled a bunch of physical ones out to do them to get them all mailed. And then all of them went missing. So I've got a few that I'm missing. But everything I had is currently en route. Okay, it all went out this morning. So my apologies for being a lot later for the physical ones. You guys getting soft copy, you've already got it in your box, in your mailboxes. In your email boxes. But the paranormal world simply means take a look at where your world is and look at the things you know and the way more things you don't know. Okay, anything that doesn't fit into the comprehensible world that you understand is paranormal. That's the simplest way to look at it. So we've all had these sorts of issues. Now, what do I got here? I will deal with that afterwards. But I have come to the brilliant idea, well, I consider it brilliant, that this idea of hiding in the shadows isn't going to work. So, what I've got, let's see, I've got coffee. This is important. What we've got here tonight is the nature of the paranormal. Tomorrow, we are going to cover, and then tomorrow we're going to be looking at literally self-improvement. Okay, but tomorrow we're going to deal with the purpose. What your purpose is on why you desire to become more, better than you are. On Monday, we are going to be dealing with an open, or on Sunday rather, we're going to deal with an open topic. Then on Monday, we are scheduled for the logic behind, where are we? Why did I do that? Gotta grab this because I don't think I wrote that down right. Oh, there we are. We are going to be looking on Tuesday at literally or on Monday, the illogic behind worrying about an alien invasion. Okay, and I mean alien as in anything non-human, whether we are talking. Oh, bonus, we are going to have to remember that, but thank you so much for that, there, football. Apparently, quick little note ahead of time, Monday is Philip Blair's birthday. And I have to do something here. Let's get that out of my way. Monday, if we make a little note for myself, just on principle. Okay. Is it really 9? It is really 9/11. Anyway, okay. On Tuesday, we are going to look at, you're going to love this one, some of you guys will, at the origin of gaming, a new perspective. Then on the 13th, we're going to again go back into this idea of self-improvement. And we're going to look at the plan. First, we deal with the purpose, then we deal with the plan. Then, as you're well aware, on the 14th is a Thursday, that's gaming. Don't expect to see me here. Emi Tonga, the answer is yes. I've already spoken to Dave. I will be on tonight. We postponed it for the 1 week. Okay. Simply because Dave, for the first time in forever, decided a holiday was in order. So we have to make certain that we discuss that with him, whether, I know that's not part of the ET connection, but it is part of supporting the guy that puts it all together. But yeah, we will be on at 9 p.m. Pacific until 11 p.m. Pacific. And we'll see where it goes from there. That depends entirely on Dave, really. But yes, I am certainly going to be there. Okay, I've already contacted him and let him know that that I'm open for it. So that works out well. At least I think so. So when we look at paranormal phenomenon, understand every single one of you experiences the paranormal on a day-to-day basis. You just may not realize it, or you may not have put 2 and 2 together. So let's get into the real paranormal side. First and foremost, take your hands, take your hands and point them palms towards each other, about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch apart, and focus for just a moment. You will feel something between your hands. Now, some people would say, well, you're telling me I'm going to feel it, therefore it's subliminal programming. It's also paranormal programming. Okay. The fact is, many of you probably overlook it. But if you can feel anything, be it heat, be it a kind of a magnetic push, maybe you're feeling like it was described to you one day, maybe you're feeling something that feels like bubbles. This is a paranormal, a beyond normal, experience. Ferret, how you doing? Glad you could join us. So this right there, if you've just done that, if you've just put your hands together and you feel anything at all, maybe you even feel a little kind of silly because you're pointing your hands towards each other and you don't recognize anything. Maybe all you're doing is feeling silly. News, that's much as you'll call it paranormal, it's actually very normal. And life itself is a split between the normal, the paranormal, and everything else. That theory of relativity of 3 points. What you're talking about, the other end of what you're talking about, and everything in the middle. And yes, I know some of you have looked at that and gone, what's with the hand? Yes, Farrad, I am going, and that's okay. I don't mind repeating myself in all fairness. But yes, I will be on SOR tonight. I've already talked to Dave this morning to confirm that I was going to be on tonight. Haven't checked to see if he's got, well, he hasn't sent me any messages here. Do I got anything going on? Let's open that up just on principle. Oh, that's because it'll be there. Where's the other one? There we go. Where are we here? Yeah, okay. I was just checking to see if anything had come through that had contradicted the issue of tonight. And no, I'm just actually texting Dave right this moment. See, Dave right now is on Messenger, so I just left him a message. I just told you guys that I will be on tonight. That I will be there with him tonight. Now, let's get back over here. Whoop. Just delete that part of it and go back over here and see what we got. Okay. Oh, well, the thing there, Ferret, is I've decided that, come heck or high water, I am moving forward, which means unless sometimes I will end up missing a day. I know this. Okay. But I will be running from Friday night through Wednesday night from 4:30 to 6:30, from 4:30 to 6:30, approximately. Okay. On occasion, I've had to shut it down because my throat seizes. I live with it. Okay. As long as my heart keeps going, I should be okay. And what do we got here? I think I missed coming in. Joe Monk, how you doing? Glad you could join us. So I have decided at this point, I actually went over it with my other half. Honestly, when I say my other half, this is my other half, my editor, and my executive assistant where it comes to Inner Voice Enterprises. I discussed it with her, okay, and we have decided that Saturdays and Wednesdays, we are going to be discussing self-help, self-improvement, this sort of thing. Sometimes this will include the book, sometimes it won't. Okay. Sunday is open topic. You guys bring your questions, whatever they are. Any day, bring your questions. Okay. Then on Monday, we're going to cover alien stuff. On Tuesday, we're going to be covering gaming. Okay. And I do mean that from Dungeons and Dragons and all the myriad games that are played. Okay, I'm talking the role-playing games, not gaming as in let's play Russian roulette or let's play, or like that's a bad example. Of course, you do know what Newfie roulette is, eh? Because Russian roulette, they put one bullet in the chamber and they pull the trigger, and then he who dies loses. In Newfie roulette, they put 5 bullets in the chambers, and the guy that survives is the loser. And that was told to me by a Newfoundlander, by the way. And who do we got here? I'm just looking here. I think Chad came in first. Chad did. So let's get this sorted around. And I realize, Chad, you've said your archives are still there, but you're also still supporting me. And once in a while, you do put something new up. So this, people, is the link to Chad's archives and his live stream. Drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. And we just had Shadow wander in. Shadow, welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. And where are we? Shadow is right. Nope, that's Quantum. Shadow. Here we are. This is linked to Shadows and to Shadow and Sons. And again, drop in, give them a listen. If you like what they have to say, do come out and subscribe to the channel and then share the daylights out of it. And we have here, this is also Spaced Out Radio, where, yes, at 9 p.m. Pacific tonight, okay, from 9 until 11 at least, I will be on live. Where are we? I will be on live with ET Connection on Spaced Out Radio. Well, there is the link to it. And again, drop in, give us a listen. Listen, hear what Dave has to say. If you like what he has to say, do come on, do give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. And for that matter, guys, if you like this stream, do put your cursor down there. Give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel. share the daylights out of it, and let's change this world into something that is far better. And, you know, I'm just looking at some of these comments here. We've got Joe Stewart with, Russian Roulette. Bad game, the Deer Hunter movie. Never saw the Deer Hunter movie, but I have seen the game of Russian Roulette played. Not a good game, by the way. Causes a real mess and ruins the party. Also scrambles people's ability to think straight, by the way. Now, then we take a look at Joe Monk here. He goes, I want to be a paladin with pointy sticks and glutes of steel. Okay. Now, let us understand something. Where it comes to a paladin is supposed to be lawful good. This does not mean lawful stupid. Nice, Shadow. Yeah, I've got a couple of years on you. Because, well, I had a game last night. We were playing Shadowrun. But on Sunday, we're playing D&D. And at this point, well, I'm 60 now. I started at 13. Makes it 47 years of gaming, an average of twice a week. Okay. Like you, yeah, I'm definitely what you would call a diehard gamer. I mean, heck, when I had my stroke back in 2018, I refused to stay in the hospital on New Year's Eve because all I told the doctor was I wasn't spending the New Year's Eve in the hospital. Okay. What I didn't tell him was that what was going on at home, the reason I was going home, aside from I don't like hospitals, is we have gamed every New Year's Eve for the last 20 years, with very few exceptions. And there was no way I was missing my gaming night just because of an inconvenient timing of a stroke. Okay, and that's why I say yes, I'm a diehard gamer. Where are we? Shadow goes, yeah, but bad girls dig the wizards. Pointy hats drive them crazy. And we're just not going to touch that. Okay, we're just going to leave that one to your imagination. But, and I know with you, Shadow, that gets to be a little wild on occasion. And yes, that is meant as a compliment. But understand something about the paranormal. The paranormal is really accessed by the imagination. And I will explain that in more detail as we go along. When you access the imagination, this is why I say, when your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, then you can achieve it. This is the backbone of paranormal phenomenon. Okay, this is ultimately how people get to it in time. Okay, but you have to believe it's possible first. Now, I will tell you, thanks, Shadow. I appreciate that. Yeah, Shadow goes, yeah, real life is for folks who don't know how to make a saving throw. Ultimately, yes. Okay, and where are we? On Tuesday, I'm going to show you something. Well, I'll get to that on Tuesday, because there are some phenomenal things that have happened around the gaming table that we will discuss. Right now, I'm looking at the paranormal side of it. How do we take the paranormal world, bring it into the material world without completely scrambling your brain? And by the way, alcohol and drugs, though rampant in the real world, and many gamers use them, are not required for enjoyable gaming. Okay, what is that? What, pray tell, did I write there? Intriguing. Oh, by the way, I had mentioned that I had a meeting today to deal with Work BC to get me started on the road to getting them to fund and thereby guide me through getting a publishing company up and running properly. Okay. And I got the meeting today. You know, it was a little complicated to start with, but long story short, We got all the paperwork in that they required. Everything is sitting in the hands of the powers that be, as it were. And I won't find out until after the 12th. Okay. Let's get that out of the way before it creates a problem. Sometime after the 12th is when they make the decision. What do we got here? I'm just reading what Donna wrote here. My brain is on hold here. Oh, absolutely. Donna's just going, when they show up unexpectedly and watch you sleep, you wonder what they want. And that is, that's one of those things that we all have to look at. And I showed you guys this before. Okay. That can get closed there. I'm sure some of you guys remember this neat little chap. This was one that my son made. Okay, when he was in grade 6. Now, something you got to realize with my son, he has mild CP, which means he did this effectively with only one hand. Right? But it's just a standard puppet. Right? So you pop your hand into it. Sort of. My hand doesn't always work right. But it's just a standard everyday puppet. Funny part about it is he had it in his room one day. When he brought it home, left it on the counter lying like this, on the side beside the bed. And he wakes up at about 2 o'clock in the morning or so, and this thing does this. Sits up and looks at him. Well, needless to say, he screamed, grabbed the thing, and ran into my room, handed it to me, and goes, "I don't want this." Well, I didn't throw it out, obviously, because I've still got it. But you desire to understand paranormal, that pretty much ranks up there. So I mean, that's just one of those other neat little things. Okay, now let's see here. Donna's asking, bring the paranormal world into this world. How? Slowly, by talking to them, asking them questions. Ultimately, the answer is yes. Okay, the more you accept the fact that they are real, you don't have to understand them at all. You just have to accept the fact. You just have, never mind fact, accept the possibility that they may be real. Okay, I mean, if you think about it, way back at the beginnings of civilization, everybody thought when the thunder rang, the thunder god was mad. Okay, and that was how they described it, and that's a whole different ballgame. But as time went on, they finally figured out how thunder is made. It doesn't make the thunder any less annoying on occasion, but it does take it out of the realm of being paranormal. It takes the paranormal, the thought that we're talking about the thunder god being upset. Okay, and now we understand thunder is a real thing. Okay, this is bringing the paranormal into the real world. As you come to, first of all, accept that it's possible, and then you turn around and start working with it and start then striving to understand it. Okay. And Derek, absolutely, we can say prayers for Desiree. Okay. I'm guessing the doctors haven't told you anything to speak of. In all fairness, Derek, and I'll put it to you this way. Okay. After this stream is over, okay, at some point in the very near future, do give me a call. Okay. Track me down. It's easy to find me. Okay. I am Messenger, Skype, There's a whole bunch of ways of reaching me listed underneath this video. Okay, absolutely. Give me a call and I will do what I can. Yes, I work on distance healing as well, and I've had some remarkable success with it. No, I don't expect you to believe me on that one. In all fairness, I don't expect anybody to believe anything that comes out of my mouth. You guys get to figure that side out. Yeah, I've heard a lot of really good things about the Mayo Clinic down in Jacksonville. In all fairness, there, Derek, the only one I've heard of that is purportedly better is the one over, and it's not the Mayo Clinic, but there's a university hospital over in Utah that is apparently even above the one in Jacksonville. But it does feel like she's in decent hands. On the plus side, since I'm not sensing her on the other side yet, this does, in my opinion, bode reasonably well. I do feel for her, but there's where you're standing. And again, by the way, distance healing is another form of paranormality. Okay. And, this kind of response there, Derek, is literally why I said this chat room is a microcosm of what I personally desire to see the world do. You mentioned Desiree's in trouble, and I'm seeing all kinds of people reaching out and going, let's put Desiree back on a stable path so that she can have a continued enjoyable life with you, or on her own for that matter. That's her call. But I somehow don't get the feeling she's looking to leave. But with so many people focusing on Desiree's health specifically, I'm sure we can have a beneficial impact on helping her. And absolutely, Derek, do your best to let Desiree know that we are all pulling for her. As you can tell, that came out really well. But the paranormal world, first rule of thumb, okay, when you desire something to happen, you don't ask for it to happen. You thank your God, your spiritual guide, your spiritual totem, the universe, source, whatever phrase you want to put it in. Thank them for providing that change. Do not ask them to provide it, because the moment you ask, what you're doing is admitting the possibility and thereby creating the reality of defeat. Okay. The nice part about it is there's a lot of really, really powerful positive people here that are pulling for Desiree. And I know from your standpoint, Derek, I'm just certain in my heart that that's got to feel better than people going, oh, well, she's in trouble. Sucks to be her. I mean, being in trouble is no fun. I never enjoyed being in the hospital. I suffer from PTSD in the hospital. Needless to say, when I had my massive heart attack, right, I was there less than 24 hours before I left. Adam Lakatos, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I turned around. I was out in 24 hours. When I had my stroke, I was there for 2 days before they gave me a day pass. I don't like hospitals, so I don't stick around. But I mean, the doctor wanted me to go to the hospital to get my blood pressure checked. I looked at her and went, I set foot on the property and my blood pressure goes through the roof. I'm not going. It's just that simple. I do, on the other hand, have a blood pressure machine here that I keep very solid tabs on. Now, let us just refresh this on principle. And get to live so I don't miss them. Absolutely, Derek. There's then one thing we really have to deal with, especially when you got kids. Whether you're under stress or not, you still gotta feed the poor little munchkins. Because I will tell you, granted, you don't feed them 3 days later, they quit screaming about it. That's really sick. That's really twisted. It's really real, but it's really twisted. Um, you know, well, you got to remember, Don. I mean, yes, the people in the hospital do make mistakes, but the people in the hospital are human. The only reason I say turn to them if you don't know what's up is because they happen to they're not infallible, but they do theoretically have more information than you do. I strongly caution people against using Dr. Google to determine what's wrong. Okay, it's usually a really bad idea. I mean, the fact that I'm a medical anomaly is simply why I won't go. But like I said, absolutely, if you can rely on the doctors, they know more than you do theoretically. Do put their intellect to use. Question everything, absolutely. One of the things we learn about as we're exploring the paranormal world is that just because you don't understand it does not mean it is any less real. Okay, this is what we have to understand. Now, when we are talking about alien as in non-human races, I split them into two groups. Off-worlders, meaning they originated off Earth, and ancient races, meaning they originated on Earth, and most of them are still here. Okay, they're just not visible. And here's a really twisted thinking of ones that aren't visible. Okay, people, I hear it all the time about racism and, visible minorities. Guess what? And don't just take my word for it, but look it up on the internet for what that's worth. Okay, take a look at the internet. You want a visible minority? And this is the one 90% of the Western world doesn't pay attention to. Caucasians, globally speaking, are the visible minority. Okay, it's just that simple. Okay, now do I expect any different treatment? No. Actually, I expect a lot of people to run away from me in fear. Don't know why. I mean, I can understand. I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, but, that's just me. Absolutely there, Ferret. We will see you when you get there. I'll be on here for another hour, and then I've got a few things I got to do before I go on SOR tonight. It's hard to believe we are pushing 8.5 years on Space Out Radio now. Where are we here? Oh, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. At least you're getting her looked into. This is a good idea. Donna goes, I used to be one of those medical staff. And the fact of the matter is, I will say this. When I had my heart attack, there was a young lass there, and I never did know her last name, but she was a nurse there, and her first name was Sue. But that was a woman that went way above and beyond the call of her duties to ensure I was taken care of properly. And this is one of those things where we have to look at what people are doing when you've got somebody working in these difficult professions. Absolutely imperative. Give them credit and do your best not to give them a bad time if you can avoid it. Of course, I'm not the person to talk to about diplomacy. I'm not really good at it. And much more importantly, I don't have a lot of interest in getting really good at it. I came to the conclusion that whether I'm discussing the what you call the real world, the paranormal world, or the spiritual world, the religious side of it. In any event, somebody asks me a question, I'll give you a direct answer as clear as I can make it. This doesn't mean you'll like the answer. Okay. But it does mean at least I'll be honest, and therefore I don't have to try and remember what I told you. Okay. Now, when we look at the paranormal, ultimately it boils down to this. The paranormal world, paranormal phenomenon, are the things we do not currently understand. Okay, we just don't. People used to think that an earthquake was a paranormal event. You know, the volcanoes were all of a sudden the gods were mad. Now we understand what causes them. Okay, and on that note, I will point out this. There's a lot of volcanoes that are called extinct. Do not hold your breath on those being extinct. Okay, I call them dormant because they are still weak points in the crust in the mantle of the earth. Okay, net result, they are still the most likely places for excess pressure to be released. You know, I had a client years ago that was very into the physical world, and she decided at 52 to become an MD. Well, she had started off when I met her telling me she couldn't do it. I worked with her for the next 8 years. And when she turned 60, she had her MD in her hand. Any goal you have, you can accomplish. And it starts with that belief, that paranormal thought of this is what I desire to accomplish. Let's bring it into the mental and the emotional mind. When both of them are connected, okay, then you bring it into the physical world, and now you've got something that you can make manifest. And Nathan, how are you? Glad you could join us. And where are we here? Nathan. Okay, this is where are we? This is the link to Nathan's live show. And absolutely, give him drop in, take a look at what he's saying. If you like what he's saying, come right out, give him a thumbs up, do subscribe to his channel, and share the daylights out of it. It is by this sharing of support that we can and are changing this world for the better. Okay, this isn't just something that may happen. This is something we're making happen as we speak. And when I say we, I'm not just referring to me. Okay, I'm not referring to just myself and my guides and my spiritual friends. I'm talking all of us. Every time one of us reaches out to help somebody else, even if it is not in the chat room. Thank you so much, Nathan. I do appreciate that. Don't you love the way they do that, Derek? You know, stray cats aren't stray, they just haven't picked an owner. It's like I keep telling people, dogs are absolutely domesticated. Cats, well, people are theoretically in control of the dogs. Ever try controlling a cat? They do what they will. They decide you're now my master, you're now my owner. And that's because I choose to stay here. Okay, but cats are very direct in their approach. This is why the Ennead used to worship the cats. This is why the one Ennead god, Bast, revered the cats above all else. Because felines are far more naturally psychic, naturally gifted in picking up on the hidden energies than humans are. And humans are no slouch at it by any stretch. Yeah, and you are absolutely right there. I'm just looking at what Joe wrote. You know, Joe's going, it may take someone a long time to witness something paranormal. But there is something going on in one's life for that to happen. And he goes, because for me, it's been happening for a while now. Not very often, but it does happen. For me, it's just normal. The thing is, I had a whole stack of these. Okay. Had a whole stack of them I pulled out of my box, set them on my one box, set them on my desk because I was going to get to them in a few hours. When I came back, they were all gone. I have no idea where they went. Okay. But I am striving to find them. I've got a list of the ones I'm still missing. Now, what do we got here? Yeah. And, the reality is there, Derek. When I look back to when I was still married, at our worst or at our best, depending on how you do it, we had 3 dogs, 5 cats, and 2 rats, all of which were rescues. We ended up getting a second set of rats because the first set died. But they do that after 4 years. In all fairness, they usually do that a lot earlier than that. I think one of the best feline cat people I'd ever run into had a pet black panther. Football goes, we leave Gatorade and water for the postal carrier. Yesterday, he offered his water to a person delivering a package to my home. It was 107 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, that's just a tad warm. And again, and on behalf of the letter carrier and the package delivery chap, thank you so much, and towards you as well. Thank you so much for reaching out to help the people around you in need, that do require it. Let's face it, these guys that bring your mail, these guys that bring your packages, they avoid you having to go down to the mailbox or down to the parcel delivery to pick them up. So, where you can help them, this is great. Okay, I just discovered, and you'd think I would have clued in a while ago, but just this morning, I was talking to my mail carrier, and I talked to him about this little box we got in the lobby. And I finally clued in, and just this morning, all the mail that I had to send out went out into that box. I never even had to leave the house to get it moved. I wonder. There. $27.54 is, so we're in the high 80s right now. It's actually pretty decent. I'm quite happy not being over the 100 degrees Fahrenheit. But the paranormal world really boils down to this. Until you accept it as being real, it becomes a paranormal world. What most of you see as paranormal, I see as normal. The paranormal is when people don't recognize that ghosts, apparitions, specters, the non-corporeals are real events. Okay, that's the abnormality for me. So I do encourage you to open your heart, open your mind, and especially I find this really rampant in both the paranormal field, but more so in the UFO field. Okay, when somebody turns around and says, this is what I'm experiencing, do not look at them with a cocked eyebrow going, really? Okay, I know for an absolute certainty, a lot of what happens around me, I'm sitting there myself going, this is just a little whacked. But the reality is, if somebody is opening up to you and saying, this is what I'm going through, they're not looking for you to say you're absolutely on the money. They're looking for you to essentially say, okay, you've had an experience, you don't understand. I accept that. And I'm not going to look at you and go, you're a complete wingnut. Rest assured, I've run into very few complete wingnuts. Most of them have parts missing. Now, let's see what we got here. Move that. Not move. Kick that over to live chat and see what pops. So we take a look at that neat little idea, the paranormal world, also known as the world of the imagination. Okay, because you got to remember, there's this old saying that goes, seeing is believing. And unfortunately, mankind has taken that on wholeheartedly. The reality is, believing is seeing. Until you accept the possibility that these events are possibly happening, not proof, but the possibility they're there. Until you accept that, really getting the door open and starting to even beginning to understand them, until you accept that they're possible, striving to understand them is going to be a pretty rough job. Okay. And all scientific verification starts with a thought, with a curious question. What if? Or why? Once you start questioning, that paranormal world starts coming into the material world a lot more readily. That's just the reality behind it. Now, again, if you've got questions, absolutely, even if they're not in the same field we're discussing, absolutely put them in the chat room. And while I'm thinking about it, if you like the stream, do give us a thumbs up, do subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of the thing. We have sat back long enough. In my case, I've sat back for, realistically, 47 years. 37 years. I sat back hoping that people would wake up. Okay, that has been proven a little on the sluggish side. So I just decided, okay, let's take what you call the paranormal world, what I call the real world, and let's bring them all into focus. Okay, let's show you how to do that. And the only way I can do that I'm aware of is by going over some of what I've seen happen. And rest assured, as I've said in many lifetimes, all that I do, thou shalt do, and more. Meaning, if one person can do it, everybody can. But I'm telling you, this is not a good thing to rely on. There's one guy in the States, okay, that defied the odds, where he parachuted. I told you this the other day, where he jumped out of a parachute at 10,000 feet. Both of his parachutes candled, and yet he landed safely on the ground. Had it documented, had it tested. Now, me personally, I'm not getting up into an aircraft to jump out of it anyway. It's just not one of those highlights for me. And I'm not about to push that limit. But that's my call. A good friend of mine, well, solid acquaintance anyway, did go skydiving, and she had an absolute blast with it. I just can't see a rational reason to get out of a perfectly good aircraft. But by all means, if you desire to go skydiving, do so. I was told it's a rush. Of course, I myself got picked up by a tornado when I was in kindergarten. Okay. And, for me, that was a rush. But I will tell you, it's not something I'll go out of my way to experience again. But it certainly takes the idea of a parachute jump being exciting. So take the world. What I've done here with my office is I went, okay, I've got to get it organized, which is why I now know what's coming up. Now, again, I've got the next couple of months laid out in some cases, at least the next month. If you've got a topic you would like to look into, let me know, because I can adjust what I've written down without any real functional problem. No, In all fairness, how you doing there, Big 21? Big J21. My apologies, eyeballs aren't working. Welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. Big J is just asking, did the Atlanteans open up a portal that let in these paranormal beings using the crystals? No. And here's the reality behind that. The paranormal events and the paranormal entities that came through were here before mankind ever got here. They arrived here. Now let's see if I can. I do not. I'm going to try and pronounce this. Oxentensive. Yeah, Oxentensive. Hello, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Now, let me see here. And yes, I will absolutely deal with that. Lemurians, that falls under alien, which is, and like I said, these can be adjusted without any problem. Now, I don't want to throw myself into a complete tailspin here. So, I'm going to ask you this, Big J. I'm going to let you pick. I can either squeeze it in and do it on the 11th, which is on Monday, or without adjusting anything I've already done, pop it in on the 18th. Which would you prefer, since you're the one that brought up the topic? Okay. Now the reality when the Atlanteans got here, okay, number one, when they arrived, they didn't open the portal by any means. Everything was already in place. And by the way, the funny part about it. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. How about if we do this? Because I said I will shift things, okay, on the 11th, because I'm going to leave it locked into the pattern that I'm dealing with here just to stay on track. But on Monday, I'm going to move what I was going to do, the logic of in behind an alien invasion. And we will take that and we'll move it out of the way. And we will put in, I'm just going to change on my calendar here. And on the 11th, we will deal with the Lemurians. And that is, fortunately, I remember that that lifetime. I had a really good one there. So we will do that on the 11th. And then this other one we will postpone until the 18th. Just adding it to my own notes here. Now, to be clear, okay, to be clear for the rest of you, for everybody included, as far as adding to the different topics, I did make a categorical decision. I will shift things by a week. So on the 18th, we will be discussing the logic behind an alien invasion, how that doesn't work really well. Okay. Yeah, I have no doubt about that at all. I grew up on so whereabout on the West Coast are you, if you don't mind me asking there, Big J? Whereabout on the West Coast are you? Myself, I grew up on Vancouver Island. Comox to be specific. But that's just a curiosity thing. And again, guys, I am putting out California-Mexico border. That's always a fun place to hang around. A little bit bumpy on occasion, but what the heck? It's been years since I've been back in California. But with that in mind, I will absolutely deal with Lemurians. That is, or Yeah, the Lemurians are an interesting group. But with that in mind, I will take suggestions. Okay, I've already got things planned out in order to keep things running smoothly. I have decided I will shift things for a week. Okay, so I've shifted that one, but we will deal with the Lemurians, who they were, what they were capable of, and quite literally why they ceased to exist. Okay, but we're going to cover that on the 11th. Now, do understand something very important here. Okay, when we're talking about the paranormal world, okay, aliens, UFOs, ancient races, all of these are part of the paranormal world. For me, they're just kind of normal. Well, at least they can't, the thing there, football, football goes crazy. You guys had earthquakes and a tropical storm. This is the one thing we can always say for California, is they have some of the most exciting weather patterns available. Okay, I'm just waiting for the other one to happen, because I will tell you they've said it's dormant or that it's extinct. I have been shown that we have a small little hiccup coming. Mount Kilimanjaro. Can't give you a date, but I can tell you it's going to blow. Okay, because either it's got to blow or we require 3, maybe 4 smaller volcanic explosions around Yellowstone in order to avoid Yellowstone rupturing. Now I will tell you, Oxytensive, I understand very little German. Okay, I can pick up bits and pieces of it, but if you would be kind enough to translate it into English, it'll be far easier for me to answer. Okay, I got nothing. Like, I speak bits and pieces of German, which is why some of it I can sort of piece together, but I literally would have to. As a matter of fact, I can do that anyway. I think. Let me see if I can do this. Let's go. Click. And we go there, and we go. Blow that up. Where did it go? Okay. Don't know, so we'll do it this way. I was told by somebody now. I was told by a very. I appreciate that, football. The only catch to that is I've got no idea how to do that. Like, none at all. Now, I had a friend. Well, I've still got a friend that told she speaks fluent German, and I asked her how Google Translate works. Whether it was usable, and she turned around and told me if we're doing it one sentence at a time, it's not bad. But she goes, if you put more than one sentence, at least for German, if you put in more than one sentence, then it will likely scramble it. Oh, okay. Well, that answered that question. That, in all fairness, in all fairness, Oxytensive. Okay. I understand that all too well. Sadly, a lot of people I talk to run into an interesting problem with that. But this is why I say, if you've got a question, absolutely let me know. Just put it in the chat room. Once in a while she does. Right now she happens to be in the middle of a physical move. So she is occupied because She's actually moving out of her birth home tomorrow. So she's a little tied up. But we have these kinds of conversations that I'm having right now there, football. We have on a regular basis. And I love the way you put that. I mean, if we follow the intention behind it, she's definitively my fiance. The fact of the matter is, I haven't literally asked her yet because I refuse to ask her over the air. I will ask her when she gets up here. And I've already warned her, and the only thing I told her flat out, you come across the border, I will ask you to marry me. And she made a request I don't ask her the first day she gets here. So I told her I'll give her that. I won't ask her the day she gets here. But there's no question. And Big J's just letting us know that there was a 3.5 earthquake in San Diego mountains. One day I'm going to figure out, and like I am starting to teach myself a number of different languages. Unfortunately, I do not speak any of them. Like I speak English, sort of. I speak bits and pieces of Spanish, French, German, Japanese, Hausa, and of course American Sign. Okay, but not enough to call a language. Okay, it really boils down to a few words here and there. Although in French and Spanish, I learned one phrase very well. As in French, and pronunciation is probably screwier than heck. But in French, fracking, honestly, football, it exacerbates the problem. Okay, is it a direct cause? No, but it is absolutely aggravating the situation and setting Utah off. Fracking is one of these things. It's kind of like breaking a glass that you desire to hold water. Shattering the surface of it is just a bad idea. Because you got to remember, this planet is in balance because of the pressures that are there. The moment you start releasing that stuff, everything comes apart. Okay, and all of a sudden, if you've got the surface of if you've got your land sitting on a high pressure pocket of methane, okay, and you fracture the surface, that methane's going to leak out. This solid bubble you're sitting on is going to collapse, and all of a sudden you've got this neat little problem called sinkholes. Now, they may not happen where the fracture is, where the fracking is taking place, but you take the pressure out of there, it causes a ricochet effect all across the globe, and all of a sudden you got sinkholes happening. Not a fun thing if you're caught in the middle of them. Football. Football's asking, does an itching palm mean money will come to you? That falls under, from what I've seen, that falls under the category of superstition. An itching palm can mean all kinds of things, not the least of which is hyperactive metabolism. Okay, you may have an energy buildup in your hand itself. And here's the thing with it. When you learn how to understand that, when you figure out how to interpret it, what you can do with that is you can focus on the idea of, you look at your guide, your God, Esau, Mother Nature, whoever you desire to focus on. Thank them for providing you with financial security or financial prosperity. It will not guarantee you get it, but it will stack the deck in favor of you drawing it to you. Okay. If an itching palm were actually to indicate that we had money coming in, I will tell you this, I wouldn't be a multimillionaire. I would have been a multi-billionaire. oxytensive. As I evolve things, I will be looking into enhancing that. My knowledge of technology is minimal at best. Now, football's asking, will your spiritual guide leave you? Well, the answer to that is this. You have one primary, most people have one primary spiritual guide that will be with you. They sign on, as it were, to be with you from birth to death. You will have other spiritual guides that will come in at various different points in your life. They will be there for a short period and then move on to other issues. Okay, but will you ever be left absolutely alone? No. But many people will immediately deny they've got one and therefore won't listen, therefore believe they don't have one. And Adam is just letting us know he's just reached North Battleford, about an hour or so to Saskatoon. So thus far, he's doing really well. And therefore, Adam, I trust this means that you're actually traveling safely. There is this funny thing called superstition, and it's brought about again by tapping into the paranormal. The moment you believe something indicates a situation, you start drawing that to you. I used to tell myself that I had a lousy memory for names. When I started telling myself my memory for names was getting better, all of a sudden I'm remembering names of people I haven't seen in years. And oxytensive. Originally, I'm from Comox, BC, Canada. Originally this lifetime. Currently, I'm living in Kelowna, BC, Canada, which is right smack in the middle of BC. Right on Okanagan Lake. Well, not entirely. We straddle Okanagan Lake. Okay, but that's where I am. Okay, I am curious where you are from, oxytensive, because I've got a list here that I keep handy that I add to it when I find out. This funny little card here tells me what countries I've had people come in from. Thus far, we've got Canada, US, England, Denmark, Australia, Singapore, and South Africa. And I am curious which country, whereabouts you're from. The reality is, from my standpoint, okay, I look at everybody. I do not believe in second and third world countries. I believe that every country on this world is a first world country simply because we happen to be on the same planet. We're on the same world. Okay, so I mean, from my standpoint, like I said earlier, Caucasian people are, globally speaking, we have to be the minority. Okay, I used to think, I used to beat myself black and blue because I couldn't find a way to fit into this world. And what I came to finally understand is I'm not going to. I mean, I'm looking at this world, I'm going, we have to. Well, we don't have to. Everyone has a choice. We can leave the world going down the path it's on, which, by the way, is not a great one. The path mankind is on right now is leading to the same place it did about 1700 years ago when Rome fell apart. Okay, and then again about 1,000 years ago when the monarchies fell, when the monarchies started to fall. Mankind is doing the same thing all over again. But there is hope from that standpoint. Ouch. Little warm there, football. definitely a little warm, but we have a choice. We can leave the world, go the direction it is. We can continue. The majority, so many people point at the governments, at the so-called elites, at the secret, so-called secret societies, and and a number of other people going, it's their fault. Absolutely, Derek. When you think about something, that's when you start drawing the energy to you. The moment you utter it, the moment you give it vocal voice, or you give it physical form, you're drawing it further into the material world where it can be made manifest. What have we got here? Adam goes, who's going, oh, yeah. Adam's going, everything's going good on my end. My sad trailers is pulling straight, and I'm only about 25,000 pounds today. Yeah, I'm only 12 and a half ton. Excellent, Joe. As a matter of fact, why don't we do that for? But to do that, what the heck did I do? I did that. That was kind of silly. This is this here. Now that you've mentioned her there, Joe. For those of you that are interested, this is the link to Nikki's live stream. So certainly drop in, give it a listen. If you like what she's saying, absolutely give her a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. And remember, guys, I am putting out a monthly newsletter that is absolutely free anywhere in the world, either by email or by physical. All I require is a request to get it and an address to send it to. What do we got here? All in all, we've got a lot of change taking place right now. And yes, I am working more and more, more and more on the idea. What did I do there? Oh, those I don't require right now. I am working more and more on the idea of how do we get people to understand how to turn the world around. Well, you got to understand the first things first. The nature of the paranormal world. Anything at all that doesn't fit into what we call mainstream society is paranormal. Okay. And once you accept that limited definition, well, it's really a kind of a broad definition. Once you take that into consideration, you get the start of the way things change. Okay. Once you accept in your heart that the paranormal world is part of the real world, it's just the part that many people don't understand. Okay. And this is why I say, when I'm talking about something, don't just take my word for it. Ask questions. Do your research. I'm certainly not going to sit here and lie to you about something just to make you feel better. Yeah, well, the reality there, Oxytensive, is my office used to be set up in another room. But when my eldest son moved home, I had to move it somewhere. So it all ended up in here. But I am removing the stuff I don't require. Okay. I've started streamlining and getting rid of a lot of stuff I no longer desire to have. Okay. That reminds me. I put in an order for something and forgot to go and get it. What the heck? The one thing that is being added to, if you will, is this one here. these are two panels from the two novels I've got. I realize at this distance you can't see them. Okay, but that's the back of The Birth of the Wolf Pack. That's the back of The End of an Epoch. And for those of you that haven't seen it, let's pull this open, move that out, grab those. Well, that was near disaster. And I know many of you have seen this before, but these are in the only place you can get these right now that I'm aware of is through me. Okay, that's The Birth of the Wolf Pack, science fantasy novels. The End of an Epoch is the second part. Okay, now this is part of a 12 volume saga. I'm getting very close to finishing the first one. Year later than I was planning, or the third one rather. Year later than I was planning, but it is coming. Yeah, let's get those back where they belong. But I've really had to start sorting things out now. Okay, now. iVoice, how you doing? Glad you could join us. iVoice is asking, does Moloch exist? And is he really an evil cow god that accepts child sacrifices? Now, from my understanding, does Moloch exist? The answer is yes. You know, is he evil? That depends on your definition. My personal opinion is with the issue of accepting child sacrifices, the second you start accepting live sacrifices of any form, makes you not a nice chap. Okay. And by the way, here's the silly part, and something that anybody that is following, if you will, an evil god. The evil god can want whatever they desire. But understand something. If you're praying to an evil god, you're praying to somebody, and a god, first of all, is simply somebody that is more advanced than you are. Okay, let us not forget, if we're going to go down the road of God, okay, we have to realize that when you take a look at the whole spiritual side of it, anybody that talks about a God creating man, okay, in their own image, means mankind has that same capability. Now, when you're talking about killing a child to get power, you're talking about murdering somebody in an effort to gain favor from a person that's already in a perpetually foul mood. The odds you get what you're asking for, not good. Okay, it just doesn't work out quite the way that you might think. But here's the funny part about it. I don't personally see any god as evil. And where are we? Derek is going, letting everyone know soon Project Tobacco will be revealed. And David Grush is part of that. People are going to... Oh, I presume that's supposed to be a little upset. Oh, okay. Give me half a second there, Oxytensive. Those pictures I pointed out there are these. One is the back of The Birth of the Wolf Pack. Okay. This would be Jeremiah, he is the lead protagonist. Then we have friends of his, Tanya Jan Scott and Wilhelm Schulte. Okay. The other one sitting beside it is the back of the second volume. And this is two more of Jeremiah's compatriots, Blade and Dirk Waterstone. And then this is part of a Strazazian Okay, of a Thrazazian starship. These people, these are your reptilians. Okay, they are some of the reptilians. Okay, and the reason I've got both pictures up there is because when you get the books, they form together to create a complete collage. Now, the other picture is this one. Okay, it's the front cover of The Birth of the Wolfpack. The only addition to it is there's a little sign on it somewhere around, yeah, right in here. There's a little sticker that's been added that says 12 volume saga. Okay, that's what those pictures on that door are. Now the neat part about it, and again, this is where I've run into some snags with people. Yes, they do, Derek. There are actually three races that have cigar-shaped ships. The Strazazian starships are cigar-shaped with two banks of windows. Okay, you have the Sarkon ships. I think it's the Sarkon ones that have one bank of windows, and then you have the Pleiadian ships, which have no windows at all of which are cigar shaped. I think it's the Sarkon. No, that does not sound. I think I screwed something up there, which is why I write things down, because my memory is not as absolutely solid as I would like. Won't be the Kamalians, that's for certain. This, by the way, is the reference manual, Races of the World. This contains 59 different races I've personally dealt with. Where are we? Won't be the Tormenon, Sarkon aren't in here, therefore. Must be the Sarkon. Oh, wait a minute. Let's take a look at Drake. Bingo. It is the Sarkon. Okay. The Sarkon they also have a cigar-shaped ship. But understand, the Sarkon, and I did a show on these guys before. Okay. They are a race that is they're short ones. The Sarkon are what you may know as the Drakes or the Alpha Draconis. Okay, but they had an empire that expanded way out. They ended up leaving behind because they grew too fast. They ended up leaving behind the Tormenon, the Strazazian, and the Kamalians. Okay, they left them on the fringes, and those guys all developed their own society after that. But these are all part of the paranormal world. And again, every one of these races, I will tell you, they're not better than humans. They just happen to have better toys in a lot of cases. And where are we? Not entirely a shock. In case you hadn't noticed, for those of you that have come here before, you'll understand this one. My wonderful little coffee cup has a small problem. It ran out of coffee. So I'm going to go up front. I'm going to leave you guys sit here for just a moment. And absolutely, if you've got questions, what have we got? In the short answer, Derek, is not yet, but I'm all for looking into it to a degree. My strength is not really in cryptids, although I do know a few of them. I may know it by a different name, however. I will be right back. I'm just going to get a refill on my coffee. This is what's called getting interrupted by family. Because for me, family absolutely comes first. I'll be right back. Gotta grab my coffee. And we have a very important thing called coffee now. So I'm one of those things that kind of, the reality is my nutritionist actually told me to keep drinking coffee. Okay, what do we got here? Football just doing weather check. Hopefully you've still got weather there, football. Oh, okay. Well, that would explain why I don't know much about it. I just got back here, and Derek is just saying it's a Japanese cryptid. My forte has certainly not been because of the fact I don't do a lot of research. I look into these things as I find them, if necessary. But let us just see what pops up. What did you call it? See, this is something that 5 years ago I couldn't have done if my life had depended on it. Is I couldn't have turned around and done anything in the way of looking for some sort of a some sort of a major search. I couldn't even find 5 years ago. I couldn't even find a local menu. And by the way, for those of you that are wondering why I keep looking in these directions, I got one monitor here which shows what you guys are looking at, and then I've got one up here where I can do a little bit of poking around. Oh. Let's take a look at that and see what we got. I'm just blowing the picture up here. Cryptid my eyeball. Don't get me wrong. I have no doubt they're calling it a cryptid. I'm looking at this thing though, and we are looking at, by the look of the pictures I'm looking at right now, yeah, we're looking at another subterranean race by the look of it. Not exactly. Oh, what is that? Oh. Okay, these things I have seen before. I didn't look into them. But I will have to do a little bit of poking around on that one. That being said, because I'm not going to get myself too terribly sidetracked for a moment, but again, cryptids are literally another aspect of the paranormal world. Okay, but yeah, this is a rather intriguing little issue. That's a cute picture, but let's get that out of the way. And that's one of those things that may well fall into an interesting category. Okay, like the chupacabra, which, yes, is a cryptid, but the chupacabra is another issue altogether. Oftentimes, what I found in a lot of cases are what people are calling cryptids are simply left behind pets. Something that came often from another world or from another time and is still being seen. And who do we got in here? Just seeing if I missed anybody. And thus far, not by the look of it. Well, probably did, but you understand how that goes. Oh, there we are, Nikki. How you doing? And I forget exactly who, but I wonder if I can find out who. If we go back up, there we are. Nikki. Joe Stewart did come in and reference your live stream. So as soon as he did that, we did put the link to it up. Hopefully things are going well for you. I know things have been hectic for a lot of people at this point. Okay, but when we're looking at the nature of the paranormal world, we got to realize anything at all that doesn't fit in your standard description of a normal world, if you will, is by definition or by inference is absolutely, what was the word I was going to use? Is absolutely part of the paranormal world. I'm glad it's getting better there, Nikki. Really am. I know things have been hectic on my end, and I've had more stuff go missing in the last couple of days in the way of paperwork than I care to count. Never did bring this to your guys' attention, but this was a gift for my son for Christmas, for last Christmas. As you can see, we've got the Skyrim logo, which is the only video game that I can manage to play. And on the back side of it, we have the illustrious Wolverine from the X-Men, a character that I've always connected. I am looking into the idea of getting books or of getting mugs together for my own company. Okay, mugs, caps, t-shirts, prints, this sort of thing. I'm looking into the whole 9 yards. So it really does boil down to, that was a gift from my son. And again, for me, excellent there, Nikki. The neat part about it is, like, anybody that comes in here, especially if you've got a stream that you follow that you are actually holding. I find that the people that come in here that already have a YouTube stream, when they show up, you guys are showing your support for me by showing up. The least functional I can do is share your stream link. Okay, I mean, I could do less, called nothing. Okay, I just don't operate that way well. But by talking to the chap that runs the post office up here, I did find out the size of the newsletter for the time being. Shade Viking, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I hope your day has been going well. Although knowing you, probably hectic as all get out. Now, just a quick note, guys, because I don't want to leave this till right at the last second, but at 9 o'clock Pacific tonight, I will be going on to Spaced Out Radio. I've already confirmed it with Dave at one point. Let me see if we got... Yeah, I've just gotten confirmation. Well, I actually came in a while ago, but I've only just noticed it. Yeah, it came in a couple hours back, but, Dave is, I have already told Dave I will be there tonight on Spaced Out Radio, to discuss the ET connection. And again, like there, I tell you, if you've got a question here, absolutely pipe up with it. What have we got here? Yeah, the way I figure it, we have to work together. And what I'm finding is even those of you that don't have your own stream, I keep hearing bits and pieces from people that you're reaching out to help the people around you. This is extremely important in turning this world from the path it's currently on to guiding it to a better world for virtually everybody. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. And in all fairness, in my opinion, my generation dropped the ball big time. So sad to say, it's the kids from my generation that now have to sort this mess out. Now, am I going to continue hiding from the world? Absolutely not. Okay, I just decided it was time to step out of the shadows. And, I used to make the mistake of going, I'm coming out of the closet. Well, no, I'm not. Because, frankly, not in the closet. But I have been hiding in the shadows for a very long time. The idea of staying in the shadows was to let people wake up and start really treating each other decently. That has, on the whole, it's happened, but unfortunately, what's getting mainstream visibility. Okay, and I don't blame the mainstream media. I used to, just like you do, like you may. Okay, but when the social media arrived, i.e., Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of these, okay, when it came up, it is your common populace, the run-of-the-mill Joe, okay, Joe, Jane, Bob, doesn't matter, that are propagating such a negative run. Who embarrassed who ripped who off, who shot who. It's just scandal after embarrassment. I don't participate in it, period. And I strongly encourage you, if you have a tendency of even reading one negative document or watching one negative video, always balance it out or overbalance it, more to the point, with two positive ones. Now, iVoices has asked, Keith, what do you think is the biggest problem with today's youth? Okay, unfortunately, now, first and foremost, okay, is it the biggest problem? It's not necessarily the biggest, but a couple of the real obvious ones to me is most kids are not encouraged. And it's by society, never mind parents. I'm talking society itself. Most kids do not look to what they can accomplish. Okay, the creative drive that used to exist has been shut down and discouraged a lot of the time. The reality of it is people are not taught. They're told you got to think outside the box, but nobody bothers showing them how. This is one of the goals that I have come to the realization. I can talk about it, but unless I start pointing it out to people, you're still not going to get it. Okay. You may in time, don't get me wrong. I am not the best of the best. What I am is socially somewhat inept, politically certainly incorrect. Okay, but I do have boundaries that I do follow of my own accord. But the biggest thing is kids are not taught to dream. Okay, they're taught immediate gratification, prejudice, fear. Okay, get something for nothing. What can the world give me? Not what can I put into the world and have double back to provide me with a better world. Okay, our world is where it is. You cannot change how it got here. Okay, going back in time to change how it got here doesn't work. Okay, and I'm still looking for somebody that's got a whole lot of more knowledge than I do regarding walk-ins. Okay, and this is something, if somebody knowing has a real solid understanding of walk-ins, I would love to have a conversation with them, simply because there's some stuff that's brought question to my own mind. Okay, and I'm still learning a number of things anyway. And that, unfortunately, Nikki, is absolutely correct. What is being taught in schools, it's not only the schools, but society itself. We have to remember, I remember one person in particular, they got a job, they didn't have an education. Okay, well, they did, they graduated. Right, but I think they graduated, they may not have, but they got a job doing inventory. Now, I kid you not, this kid, his mouth to my ear, he turned around and said, I quit my job today because there's a woman that's been working there 10 years already, and she's making more money than I am. So he quit his job, and social services, welfare, picked him up, put him on a free-for-all, because he wasn't earning as much as somebody with 10 years experience. Okay, this is the exact wrong message to lay out. Ultimately, Emmy, you are absolutely correct. Okay, kids they're being taught what to think, not how. I was always told growing up, think outside the box. The unfortunate part is nobody ever showed me where the box was. I'm still trying to find the thing. But kids are not being taught to question. You're being told, shut up, sit down, do what you're told. And this starts right from the get-go. Okay, but they also are not being taught consequence. Okay, which is why you go into a school, and the school turns around and says, if you show up for the sports event, everybody gets a trophy. When I was growing up, you got a trophy if you were a winner. This is why, this is just a minor example, but when you guys come into the chat room, and I did borrow this one I took the initiative from Dave's guidance. Okay, where the first person through the door is the only one that gets the gold medal. The second one gets the silver. The third one gets the bronze. The fourth one and the last one gets honorable mention. Every one of you is equally valuable. Okay, and this is a thing to take to heart. There's not a one of you that is less important than the other. Okay, and again, guys, absolutely, if you like the stream, we're just winding down now here. But if you like this stream, do give us a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. We've got a lot, if you'll be kind enough to do so, we've got a lot of work to do here. Society is going down the same path it went down, quite literally, 1700 years ago when Rome collapsed. Okay, 1,000 years ago, it did the same thing all over again when the monarchy started to collapse. The only civilization I've got recollection of on this planet that ended because of an accident, not because of stupidity or war, was the Lemurian Empire. And I will, as we discussed earlier, I will be discussing that on Monday. And I will lay out how that all came about. Because yes, was I there? And you don't have to believe this by any means. But that is one of the memories, one of the lifetimes I have started documenting. Well, I started documenting it a while ago. But that's one of my many past lives I do recall. And again, this all falls under the paranormal. Now, do understand, Emmy has mentioned the kids are not being taught, they're being brainwashed. Okay, sad part is this. Okay, when we take a look at the brainwashing is in and of itself another aspect of the paranormal. It's an aspect of the world that we do not fully understand, or those that do are not doing anything with it. Okay, am I perfect? Not even close. The reality of it, that'd be really appreciated there, angels. I mean, the Lemurian Empire was a phenomenal society, and there were all kinds of different parts to it. But the important factor here is we've got a lot of work to do, but we can absolutely turn this world around and get it back on a reasonable track before it gets blown back to the Stone Age. But in order to do that, it's going to require the effort of a staggering number of people. Right now, we have billions of people sitting in front of televisions, in front of people standing at pulpits, where the people are saying, I'm your spiritual guide, I'm your link to a better world, and you're all going to die, you're all going to burn in hell. I'm telling you, hell exists. The hot tubs are way too flaming hot, but they do have deep muscle and deep tissue massage down to a fine art. Personally, got kind of bored with it, so I left. Okay, and that's a whole other world. But I absolutely do encourage, regardless of what topic we're referring to, I absolutely encourage you to ask questions. So where are we here? Tomorrow we will be discussing, just once again, tomorrow we will be discussing how to determine the purpose, or how to choose the purpose of your life now. Never mind what brought you to where you are, because that's already been laid out. But what you do have dominant control over is where you go from here. Then on Sunday, we will have open topic. On Monday, we will be discussing the Lemurian Empire. And then on Tuesday, we're going to take a look at the gaming world. Okay, and in this case, we're going to go back and look at the origin of gaming, a new perspective. Then on Wednesday, we're going to discuss the plan. And that plan is tied directly to the purpose that we're talking about on Saturday. With this in mind, I will be back. And until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.